Hello, greetings and welcome to viewers everywhere. It gives me great pleasure to share some songs and sentiments from the life and times of my hero, John McCormack. John McCormack was born on the 14th of June 1884 in Athlone, County Westmeath, the second son and fifth of 11 children, 5 of whom died in infancy or childhood. His parents, Andrew and Hannah McCormack, née Watson, were both from Galashiels in Scotland and worked at the Athlone Woolen Mills, where Andrew's father was a foreman. McCormack received his early education from the Morris brothers in Athlone and later attended Summerhill College in Sligo. He sang in the church choir in the old St. Peter's Church in Athlone under the choirmaster Michael Kilkelly. When the family moved to Dublin, he sang in the church choir of St. Mary's Pro Cathedral, where he was discovered by Dr. Vincent O'Brien. In 1903, he won the coveted gold medal of the Dublin Festival. He married Lily Foley in 1906. They had 2 children, Cyril and Gwen. Lily Foley had herself won the gold medal the previous year. McCormack travelled to Italy in 1905 to receive voice training from Vincenzo Sabatini in Milan. Sabatini found McCormack's voice naturally tuned and concentrated on perfecting his breath control, which was later destined to make him unique. In 1906, he made his operatic debut. The next year, he began his first important operatic performance at Covent Garden. He sang in Cavalleria Rusticana, becoming the theatre's youngest principal tenor. In 1909, he began his career in America. My own association with McCormack must have commenced in my infancy, because I was but a lad of 8 years when he died in 1945. I never thought too much about that little detail until I reached the winter of my own life. Music, song and dance were at the kernel of my own family life growing up in Trim, County Meath. So I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be a singer like John McCormack. The trauma of leaving home for my first job in 1955 was somewhat counterbalanced by the fact that I was about to become resident in Athlone, the town that gave birth to my hero. In a career that spanned about 4 decades, John McCormack accomplished a remarkable amount when one considers that his career was already in bloom before the birth of technology. He recorded in excess of 800 works, including opera, German lieder, and a great variety of songs, most of which sold millions in sheet music, which was the currency of the day. He sailed the oceans to grace concert stages in Europe, Australia, and the United States. He was 3 times decorated by the Pope for his enormous charity-raising efforts for the Red Cross during World War I. John McCormack passed away at his residence in Booterstown, Dublin, on the 16th of September 1945. I hope you enjoy the short recital to perpetuate the memory of my hero, who was acclaimed as one of the world's greatest ever lyric tenors. Many years ago, when I was very young, probably less than halfway to being a teenager, our next door neighbour was a lady named Miss McAllister. We lived in Mill Lane and Trim. And Miss McAllister used to invite me into her house to visit and sing songs to her and with her. And she had a cousin in Belfast who was Mr. Wilson. And when Mr. Wilson would come to visit his cousin, she always invited me to join him and sing songs with them and together. And such a happy memory. And I remember this particular visit when Mr. Wilson had arrived. Miss McAllister invited me in, and Mr. Wilson was sitting back in his chair. I could still see him with the watch chain across his tummy. And he leaned forward and said, "Matt, did you ever hear of John McCormack?" "I did, Mr. Wilson." "Would you like me to sing one of his songs?" "Yes, Mr. Wilson." "I'm going to sing you Little Boy Blue." And that's the reason I've chosen the song to start this little presentation.
Little toy dog is covered with dust, but sturdy and staunch he stands. The little toy soldier is red with rust, and his musket molds in his hand. Time was when the little toy dog was new, and the soldier was passing fair. And that was the time when our little boy Blue kissed them and fought them there. "Now don't you go till I come," he said, "and don't you make any noise." So toddling off to his trundle bed, he dreamt of the pretty toys. And as he was dreaming, an angel song awakened our little boy Blue. Oh, the years are many, the years are long, but our little toy friends are true. Aye, faithful to little boy Blue they stand, each in the same old place, awaiting the touch of the little hand, the smile of a little face. And they wonder, has waited these long years through, in the dust of that little chair. What has become of our little boy Blue since he kissed them and put them there?
Most of McCormack's songs would have been recorded roughly between 1910 and 1940, I suppose. This particular one is supposed to be recorded in 1936. It doesn't say where, but I hope you enjoy the Kerry dance.
Oh, the days of the Kerry dancing, oh, the ring of the piper's tune, oh, for one of those hours of gladness, gone, alas, like our youth, too soon. When the boys began to gather in the glen of a summer night, and the Kerry piper's tuning made us long with wild delight. Oh, to think of it, oh, to dream of it, fills my heart with tears. Oh, the days of the Kerry dancing, oh, the ring of the piper's tune, oh, for one of those hours of gladness, gone, alas, like our youth, too soon. Was there ever a sweeter colleen in the dance than I more, or a prouder lad than Thady as he boldly took to the floor? Lads and lasses, to your places, up the middle and down again. Ah, the merry-hearted laughter, ring it through the happy glen. Oh, to think of it, oh, to dream of it, fills my heart with tears. Oh, the days of the Kerry dancing, oh, the ring of the piper's tune, oh, for one of those hours of gladness, gone, alas, like our youth, too soon. Time goes on, and the happy years are dead, and one by one the merry hearts are fled. Silent now is the wild and lonely glen, where the bright glad laugh will echo ne'er again. Only dreaming of days gone by, in my heart I hear loving voices of old companions stealing out of the past, and the sound of the dear old music, soft and sweet as in days of yore. When the boys began to gather in the glen of a summer night, and the Kerry piper's tuning made us long with wild delight. Oh, to think of it, oh, to dream of it, fills my heart with tears. Oh, the days of the Kerry dancing, oh, the ring of the piper's tune, oh, for one of those hours of gladness, gone, alas, like our youth, too soon.
It's probably true to say that John McCormack recorded many of these songs several times, and that would make it difficult to be sure about what year things were recorded. But this particular one, Silver Threads Among the Gold, sometimes called Darling I Am Growing Old, was recorded given as being in 1925. So I hope you enjoy this one. Frederick O'Connor wrote about the old house. And the old house in question is actually Baltrasna House, which is near Old Castle in County Meath. It was occupied by the O'Reillys at one end and the Plunketts the other end. The Plunketts would be of St. Oliver Plunkett renown. And what's interesting is that my late mother, God rest her, had a great interest in going to auctions. And this day she said to me, Matt, there's an auction in Degnan's house today and I think I'm going to go to it. Now, Degnans were a very old, trim family. A couple of generations ahead of me, probably. And they were interested in music and they were artistic kind of people. Anyway, my mum came back with a jumble of a bundle of stuff. She said, I bought this for £1. She said, you're welcome to go through it and have it. It was mostly old music. But anyway, right in the middle of it, I found what turned out to be an original, genuine concert programme. Farewell concert of John McCormack, Royal Albert Hall. I think it was the 28th of November, 1938. And what a precious find. And that's how I know that the old house was in his concert programme of his farewell concert. So I hope you enjoy this old song about Baltrasna House.
Lonely I wander through scenes of my childhood. They call back to memory the happy days of yore. Gone are the old folk, the house stands deserted. No light in the windows, no welcome at the door. Here's where the children play games on the heather. Here's where they sailed their wee boats on the Horn. Where are they now? Some are dead, some have wandered. No more to their homes shall these children return. Lone is the house now, and lonely the moorland. The children are scattered, the old folk are gone. Why stand I here like a ghost and a shadow? 'Tis time I was moving, 'tis time I pass on.
Mother Machree is a lovely old song which tends to be rubbished. So John McCormack, if it was good enough for John McCormack, certainly good enough for me. I hope you enjoy Mother Machree.
There's a spot in my heart which no colleen may own. There's depth in my soul never sounded unknown. There's a place in my memory, my life, that you fill. No other can take it. No one ever will. Sure, I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all furrowed and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear fingers so toil-worn for me. Oh, God bless you and keep you, Mother McCormack. Every sorrow or care in the dear days gone by was made bright by the light of the smile in your eye, like a candle that's set in a window at night. Your fond love has cheered me and guided me right. Sure, I love the dear silver that shines in your hair, and the brow that's all furrowed and wrinkled with care. I kiss the dear fingers so toil-worn for me. God bless you and keep you, Mother McCormack.
John McCormack's renown was based on his naturally beautiful voice, but more than that, it's what he learned to do with the voice. His voice control and his breathing were just exquisite. And in many of his songs, I tend to feature on the very ending, the very last notes. They're so beautifully delivered. And this song is one of those that has an exceptionally beautiful ending. So please listen carefully to Makushla. I really can't find words to describe the beauty that I feel and hear in some of John McCormack's songs. I just tried to explain some of my feelings in the song called Macushla. An even greater example of that beauty maybe in the song I Hear You Calling Me. I would love you to just stop, concentrate, listen, and absorb what you hear, especially that egg towards the end of the song. Nobody but John McCormack could ever sing like this.
length between. Adore your grave, the mossy grass is green. I stand. Do you remember listening here? Hearing your voice through all the years between. I hear you calling me.
In my introduction, I spoke about John McCormack's quality, the quality of his voice and the beautiful sounds he was able to manufacture, and his voice control, his vocal control, and especially the beautiful notes he made at the endings of some of his songs. And I mentioned that he went to Milan to Professor Sabatini for some training. Sabatini found his voice to be totally tuned and concentrated on his breathing. Now, whether it was McCormack's natural talent, natural ability or not, I don't know, or whether it's due to Sabatini's ability. But McCormack was able to sing long passages without having to stop to take a breath. And this is one of the good examples. This piece is from a Handel work called Semele. It's called "O Sleep, Why Dost Thou Leave Me?" And it's also at the beginning, he introduces a talent, a technique that I think is called a trill, Trill. I don't know of any other male singer that used this or was able to do it. Sometimes sopranos and contraltos can do this sort of thing, but I don't know how he did it, but it's a trill, I think. I think I'm calling it correctly anyway. So sit back and relax and listen to the wonderful voice of John McCormack and his impeccable breathing. Thomas Moore of Moore's Melodies fame wasn't a contemporary of John McCormack's. In fact, he was, 30 years dead before John McCormack was born. But John McCormack had a great affinity with the songs of Thomas Moore. And this is one of the prime examples, The Meeting of the Waters. This was arranged by, I think his name was Teddy Schneider, who was John McCormack's pianist certainly for nearly all his early career anyway. So I hope you enjoy this one, The Meeting of the Waters.
There is not in this wide world a valley so sweet as that vale in whose bosom the bright waters meet. Oh, the lost rays of feeling and life must depart ere the bloom of that valley shall fade from my heart, ere the bloom of that valley shall fade from my heart. Yet it was not that nature had shed o'er the scene her purest of crystal and brightest of green. 'Twas not her soft magic of streamlet or hill. Oh no, it was something more exquisite still. Oh no, it was something more exquisite still. 'Twas but friends, the beloved of my bosom, were near, who made every dear scene of enchantment more dear, and who felt how the best charms of nature improve when we see them reflected from looks that we love, when we see them reflected from looks that we love. Sweet well of Avoca, how calm could I rest in thy bosom of shade, with the friend I love best, where the storms that we feel in this cold world should cease, and our heart, like thy waters, be mingled in peace, and our heart, like thy waters, be mingled in peace.
Here's another Moore's melody, which I hope you will equally enjoy, called Oft in the Stilly Night.
words of love then spoken, the eyes that shone, now dimmed and gone, the cheerful heart now broken. Thus in the stilly night, ere slumber's chain has bound me, sad memory brings the light of other days around me. When I remember all the friends so linked together, I've seen around me fall like leaves in wintry weather. I feel like one who treads alone some banquet hall deserted, whose lights are fled, whose garlands dead, and all but he departed. Though in the stilly night, ere slumber's chain has bound me, sad memory brings the light of other days around me.
William Vincent Wallace was a 19th century Irish composer. He was born in Waterford. And he was renowned for his ability to play both the piano and the violin, and apparently was recognised on 3 continents, somebody said. Anyway, one of his works was an opera called Maritana, which features this beautiful song, or aria if you like, called There Is a Flower That Bloometh. And you'd think John McCormack was just born to sing it.
There is a flower that bloometh when autumn leaves are shed, with the silent moon it weaveth the spring of summer fled. The early frost of winter scarce is you can e'er forget all the bright scenes gone before, all the sweet, the sad regret. Let no heart brave its power by guilty thoughts o'ercome. For then a poison flower is the memory of the past. For then a poisoned flower is the memory of
When I set out to prepare this program, I had it in my mind that I would probably finish with John McCormack's signature work, at least what he referred to as his signature work. It is the aria from Don Giovanni by Mozart called Il mio tesoro. And I know well why he regarded it as his signature work, because of the impeccable breath control. Apart from being a very nice piece of music, his ability to sing what's regarded as, I think it's a passage of something like 64 measures in one breath, is quite remarkable. Now, I don't think he's the only one to have done it, but there are very few, and he's the one who set the bar. So, unfortunately, I discovered the hard way that there apparently are some copyright issues with some versions of the recording. And I cannot risk having this whole program destroyed or blacked out just because of somebody has an issue, copyright issue. And as I don't know which version of the recording, I can't take the risk. And as I stated earlier, John McCormack recorded most of these songs, certainly more than once, several times at times. So, instead, I've decided to finish the program with the John McCormack song that was my late father's favourite. And it's called The Sunshine of Your Smile. And I know it wasn't just my dad's favourite, it was the favourite of very many people. I sometimes go into nursing homes to sing McCormack songs, and I can tell you that once I start singing The Sunshine of Your Smile, faces light up. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the whole program. And just to conclude, may I say, may God go with you all and keep you safe and well. And here's The Sunshine of Your Smile by John McCormack.